they always say it's some type of accident. Now, they came out today saying that it was an accident that he shot Mr. Kinsey. But Mr. Kinsey was shot at 3 times, and also after he was shot, he was handcuffed. So you don't handcuff people, you accidentally shoot. This man was targeted, and let's go back. Let's put this thing in the bigger context, because in 2006, the FBI put out a report stating that white supremacist groups have infiltrated law enforcement. So now we have a whole bunch of suspected race soldiers acting as cops, targeting black people, and nothing is being done about that.
Randy, go ahead.
Get out of you. Come on, get off that. That's a bunch of crap. Race soldiers, police officers out there giving their lives in the line of duty.
There's nothing wrong with police, sir. There's nothing wrong with police. I like police officers.
Prejudice and bias.
Sir, I like police officers, but shooting unarmed people, that's not police work. That has nothing to do with the Constitution.
Of course,
and that's the problem that we have.
There are issues here. I am not
issue is
saying
people
there's not
are
an issue
dying.
here.
That's the issue.
There is.
The issue is people dying. It's not a minimalized issue. It's an issue that people are dying and killing people and executing people. That has nothing to do with police work. There's nothing in the police manual that says execute unarmed people.
Who got executed here?
Hell,
Did someone get executed here that I didn't see?
Just the last few weeks alone, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, other black people have been executed.
And how do you know that they were
enforcement.
executed?
Well, I have eyes in my 2020
Did you do the investigation?
All right, guys.
I have eyes.
No, you watched 20 seconds of video like everybody else.
1 second, gentlemen. We got to speak one at a time. The delay is affecting you guys. I want to get Evie in here. Evie, I know you want to comment, but I want you also to tell me something. This guy was shot in the leg, and yet, to Tariq's point, the guy laid on the ground for 20 minutes. Now, let me tell you, as a physician, you're lying on the ground with a bullet in your leg. You can get something called compartment syndrome. You can lose the leg. You can get kidney failure. You can die from an unattended wound to your limb. That, to me, is a big part of this story as well.
Yeah, that's a significant issue. Just to jump on what Tariq said, when you do shoot someone, you can cuff them until you assess the situation. But you have to give them proper medical treatment within immediate time. Sitting there 20 minutes waiting to get treatment, that's an issue. Sir, no, sir, just hold on a moment. Let me just speak here for a moment.
Accident, why are you now, the other issue,
Tariq, I gave you the respect of speaking, but you're not letting me finish.
Go ahead, ma'am.
And we're on national TVs.
Go ahead, ma'am.
You know, so let's just take our terms. So the other thing with the shot, with the union member speaking, saying that he was actually trying to protect the man on the ground, that's another problem, because that goes back to police training, or the lack of. If he's actually shooting, he's actually shot the wrong person. That's a problem. Now we're going back to, like, you don't know how to use your weapon properly. You don't know how to use your discharge. You let out 3 rounds and they hit the wrong person. That also goes back. They're going to look back at this person's shooting records. They're going to look
always happen to be black, and that's the problem. Law enforcement, or the race soldiers posing as cops, they know not to shoot other races of people.
You know what?
The only people who are getting unarmed, the only unarmed people getting shot just happen to be black. So either we have a big long coincidence, or we have a system of white supremacy that we need to replace with a system of justice.
You didn't see last week the white guy that got shot?
What white guy who got shot?
Tariq, you're using very blanket statements.
The one in Fresno that you saw that of course doesn't make a bit of difference to you.
Well, they had to negotiate. They had to negotiate with that gentleman for a long time, and he was a white sacrifice. In the system of white supremacy, you will always sacrifice a handful of white people, but the vast majority of the people who are being targeted by race soldiers just happen to be black.
Tariq, are you suggesting?
So is the police officer that shot this man today, was he white?
Yes, he was, from what I understand. He was a white Latino, from what I understand.
Well, once again, you show your ignorance, because no, he was not white. He was Hispanic, but good try.
Well, Hispanic is not a race, sir, but he was a white Latino from what I understand. And again, we have a system of white supremacy where it is okay and you can kill black people with impunity, and that's the bigger issue that we need to address and come up with ways to punish these race soldiers who harm black people all the time.
You know what, Tariq? You're calling these officers who wear this uniform, and you're putting everybody under this blanket statement that they're race soldiers. A lot of these people work very, very hard.
Race soldiers.
So,
police officers
but that's what you're saying with this situation.
I did not say all
this is not the Tariq show. This is the Dr. Drew show, and you're supposed to let other people speak.
But you cannot put words
I got to stop everybody right now, because I have to go to break. Next up, the North Miami police chief is not offering explanation as to how this could have happened. It took them 3 days to come up with the explanation Randy would just mention to us. I'm wondering why. And
this topic and saying that Hispanic is not a race, they're the race of their own. So you're saying
No, they're
these
not.
things about
well, no,
these people.
he's
not
actually
anything like
he's
that.
actually technically right about the Hispanic. I mean, anthropologists argue about whether race exists at all, but he technically is right. Even though I think a white supremacist would probably disagree with him on
They
that.
would
not
not
really.
want him. They
The
would
white
not
supremacists
absolutely
had no
want
problem
them.
supporting George Zimmerman, so he was one of their brothers. So the thing is,
So because you can't check that box. So if you can't check that box, then everybody's white and then there's black. This is the thing. We're not going to fix this by being angry. What this officer did,
angry.
if they prove what he did was wrong, absolutely justice. He should be punished. He should be charged. That's how we fix this.
Let's stay back with the story. I want to show you some footage of what happened right after he was shot. Take a look at this.
I think they got like 1, 2, 3 sets of handcuffs. They cuff my hands and they flip me over, and I'm laying on the concrete like this right here. I'm bleeding.
See, Randy, as a physician, take everything else we've been discussing off the table. That treatment really bothers me. That was not appropriate medical or even humane treatment of somebody in custody, right? I mean, that really was a problem.
It bothers me as well. It bothers me as well, Dr. Drew, because once an individual, I mean, and according to everything, this individual, Mr. Kinsey, didn't do anything wrong. Okay, so he is in fact the victim of an accidental shooting. If we are surmising correctly
but Randy,
from what's been reported.
Randy,
yes.
Even if it were an intentional shooting, even if he was a criminal involved in a crime for sure, this treatment is not okay.
And you don't shoot
I agree
people
with you.
three times by accident. You don't shoot people three. You don't shoot at people 3 times by accident.
Okay, whatever, Tariq, whatever you want to say.
Randy, be respectful.
Right, I mean, you don't shoot at a person 3 times by accident and then handcuff them after you shoot them. I've never seen accidents like that.
If the officer believed in his mind the perception that the autistic gentleman posed a threat, and that's what's going in his mind, and he fired 3 times, he's shooting at the autistic guy. He's not shooting at Mr. Kinsey. Mr. Kinsey was hit by accident.
All right, let me give you a statement.
You got to take that off the table.
Let me give you a statement
but
from the officer.
You're absolutely
But
right.
whatever he believes in his mind is not reality. I can make up a make-believe scenario in my mind, and I will be punished for it if I
And let me give you his statement. Let's go to the source. This officer actually gave a statement. He said, quote, "I took this job to save lives and help people. I did what I had to do in a split second to accomplish that, and hate to hear others paint me as something I'm not." And I think Tariq, if he were hearing you, he would claim he would be upset.
Well, I would be upset too. An unarmed black man was shot, and unfortunately, this suspected race soldier will not be punished, and that is the problem. There's always some type of excuse if an unarmed black person is shot by a suspected race soldier. If the black person cannot be criminalized, the person doing the shooting can make up some scenario how they felt in their mind. So we live in a make-believe world when it comes to punishing people who are non-black. But when black people commit crimes or perceived to commit crimes, we're punished to the letter of the law. So we can't have this double-edged
You're living in a make-believe world if you think they're race soldiers.
Randy, let me show you what the lawyer of this guy said, the officer, his lawyer, when the officer was asked,